got a question from Anthony. Thank you so much for reaching out, my friend. So we're going to talk a little bit about the college scene, building a fan base, which is also part of that question, and then how, and you are very correct, how difficult it is, but also we're going to talk about why it's difficult to find an agent early on in the game. So I don't know, let's try to tackle the agency first, because this all kind of ties together. An agency, this is something that I'm starting to really see in a lot of indie artists, and I say this because this is how I was I just kind of wanted someone to, kind of come down and be like, all right, well, I'll book you 250 shows a year, blah, 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 and I would be like, oh man, I'd even give them, a third rather than, the sliding scale, 15 to 20% of all the gigs booked. The problem is 15 to 20% of nothing is nothing. So if you don't have anything to offer an agent or an agency, they're not going to take you on because their roster is generally full already, and they're looking for something more established, which gets back to my idea of building a fan base slowly, one fan at a time. The wonderful part about that is now entirely in your control. You can't lose it, when you build that strong of a fan base, especially when you do it by yourself. There's no agency that can take your email list away from you, no record label that can kind of like, I guess just that, you have control over your email list, you have control over everybody, your entire social media package. So that is always first and foremost. Once that builds up enough, an agency will come down. Now, the thing that I wouldn't want you guys to do is keep trying to find an agency to do the work that you don't really feel like doing. And I remember doing that. If I just put the work in finding, out there one fan at a time, I would have been able to build something in those 2 to 3 years that I could have given to an agency rather than just trying to find someone to do it for me. So anybody who, if this is like the first video that you're seeing, especially on Facebook or on YouTube, go to past videos. I'm always talking about how building a fan base on all social media platforms, the best way to do it. You don't need to spend money. You don't need to buy those bullshit programs on the internet about how to build your fan base. And it's just like these guys that kind of want your money, and they're not really giving you any information that you can't find on YouTube. Anyway, so that's the agency part of it. Now, the other thing about building fan base, which I already kind of just touched on, and then going back to the college market isn't necessarily the best way to build a fan base. I still think the best way is on social media, kind of doing it by yourself, incorporated into touring. Now, the college market I really want to get into because we did NACA, National Academy College Activities? Is that what it is? NACA? Whatever it is. Which is, you can only do it through SonicVids, and basically they act like as a mediator. It's a huge, huge investment. I mean, it's something around $2,000, and you may not even get picked as a showcase. So that's just submitting your music, and then you have to buy a booth. So it's like this big convention hall kind of deal, and you have your own little booth, and then to make it look legit as the students, all the talent buyers from all these colleges and specific regions, I think there's like 6 regions in the U.S., are walking by, and you're trying to basically sell your band. You want to decorate it all nice. People had all these TVs and shit. I was just there with like a table with nothing on it and a bunch of CDs to hand out. So we didn't really do it right. We did get a showcase, and we did end up getting some gigs out of it. They are high-paying gigs. They are fun. It's good to incorporate into your club touring if you're already a touring musician, or whether, I don't even know, if you're hip-hop act. Basement shows is starting to become something really, really huge on the hip-hop scene. Again, I mean, I feel like it kind of went away a little bit 5 or 6 years ago. Or if you're, a coffee shop act, singer, songwriter, it's always good to incorporate that. It kind of can help pay for your tours because they are high-paying gigs. The problem with that is that everybody's going to be going for those. Everybody's going to be trying to get their attention, and that's what NACA and Sonic Bids is there for. So if you go to Sonic Bids or just look up NACA, N-A-C-A, I think it might be naca.org, and just read a little bit about it. It's a huge investment. It can pay off if you really, really think that, that after you put in, almost $3,000, it's only going to take, 2 or 3 gigs to get that back, and then, the chance of getting way more than that, if you get a showcase, you have an even better opportunity. So that's the goal, is when you apply for NACA, is to get the showcase. Now, if you don't get the showcase, you still have your booth. You're still able to pass out all your, business cards and CDs and stuff like that. The problem is when colleges and universities have these budgets, they have to get rid of them, and they have a certain amount of that budget, a certain percentage of that budget for arts and entertainment. So that's why the college shows pay so much, and that's also why everybody wants them, which is also why it's so hard to get their attention without going through NACA. There are ways to circumnavigate it. It depends how much time you want to put into it. You could, search. A lot of them are called SABs, Student Activities Boards. A lot of them are called Student Activity Centers, SACs, SACs. So you could type in, I usually would just do student activities, so you could do something like, whatever college. I would go for small colleges like, Newton College, Massachusetts. Type this into Google, Newton College, Massachusetts, SAB, and see in Facebook, and see if there's a Facebook page that comes up. You can try and be a part of that group. You can see who the administrators are on the Facebook page, and you can try to hit them up on Facebook. But then if you're going to try to sell to them that quickly, they might get turned off pretty quick, because they're still going to somehow get bombarded by agencies. You could try cold calling as well. When you have something that's high paying, it starts getting taken over by agencies. So the best way to go about anything is to build up your own numbers one by one, which is not what anybody wants to hear, and I remember, because that's not what I wanted to hear. When my mentor, Bobby Borg, told me that, I went about 2.5 years without doing any fan building, any social media fan building, any like one-on-one fan building, anything like that. And 2.5 years later, I really regretted it. So just start building slowly, building a presence. I have all of that with, a bunch of the social media platforms on this page, and just try to get to a point where if you were to cold call an agency and present them with your package, your act, that they would say like, oh, okay, this guy doesn't, only post on Instagram, once every 4 weeks, and, tweet once every who knows. You know what I mean? So really building that up. Anthony, that's my best advice. I can go a little bit more in depth with some of the college stuff if you want. We can talk about NACA if that is a direction you want to go in. I might be doing NACA next year. I might just invest myself, because I was looking for an agency to do it for me. There are some college agencies out there that might take you on for just the submission fee. Like if they submit your music, like they'll pay for there's so many fees, so they'll pay for like the overall fee, and then the submission fee's like a couple $100. You might be able to find an agency like that. I don't know too many of them. There's only a few agencies that I looked into that I wanted to work with. So we can go a little bit more into NACA. We can go in a little bit more of how to try to find the student activities without blowing up your own spot and turning them off. Let me know what else you want to get into. All right. Thanks for the questions. I love it, guys.